The night the lonely CEO froze at a small restaurant table began like any other carefully controlled evening of his life, except for the quiet ache that had followed him for years and refused to loosen its grip. The city outside glowed with expensive lights and hurried ambition, but inside his chest there was only a hollow stillness. He had built companies, closed impossible deals, and filled skyscrapers with his name, yet here he sat alone again, staring at a plate of untouched food, unaware that one small act of kindness was about to crack open a past he had sealed away long ago. Before the story continues, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small human moments to change lives, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel Everyday Heroes. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. He had chosen the restaurant for its warmth, not its prestige. The wooden walls and soft candlelight reminded him of places that existed before success complicated everything. He noticed them the moment they entered: a woman wearing a worn coat too thin for winter, a little girl with hair tied back by a faded ribbon, and the man who walked slightly behind them, carrying the heaviness of failure in his posture. They did not belong to the polished crowd, and yet they tried to move carefully, respectfully, as if afraid of being seen. The CEO watched without intending to, recognizing something painfully familiar in their cautious steps. Loneliness, he realized, had many faces. When he overheard the server gently explaining menu prices, something shifted inside him. Without announcing himself or expecting gratitude, he arranged for their dinner to be added to his bill. It was not charity in his mind, it was instinct, the kind that came from remembering hunger in a way money never quite erased. He returned to his table, expecting nothing more than the quiet satisfaction of doing one decent thing in an otherwise empty day. The meal unfolded slowly. The child sat between her parents, eyes wide with wonder at the warm plate set before her. She studied everything with serious attention, as though committing the moment to memory. The CEO felt an unexpected tension as he watched her. Something about her small hands, her concentration, her quiet curiosity stirred an old, aching memory he could not yet name. As the family prepared to leave, the child lingered behind. Her parents were distracted, gathering their things, unaware of what she was doing. With deliberate care, she reached into her pocket and placed something on the CEO's table. It was small and ordinary, yet when he noticed it, his entire body went rigid. The world around him seemed to fade into silence. It was a button. Old, scratched, and unmistakably familiar. His breath caught as his mind raced backward through time, to a winter decades ago, to a coat he once wore when his own family had nothing. To nights when hunger was a constant companion and hope felt like a fragile rumor. He remembered losing that button on a night very much like this one, sitting in a diner with his mother after a stranger paid for their meal. That stranger had vanished without a word, but the kindness had stayed, shaping the man he would become. The button had been his mother's keepsake, sewn onto his coat with care and love, lost during one of the hardest chapters of his life. He had searched for it back then, believing irrationally that finding it might somehow hold his family together. Seeing it now felt impossible, like time folding in on itself. His hands trembled as he stared at the object, realizing that the kindness he had given tonight had come full circle. The child had left it behind not as payment, but as an offering. To her, it was likely one of the few things she owned, something small she could give to say thank you. The simplicity of that gesture broke through every wall the CEO had built. In that moment, his success felt insignificant compared to the weight of what he held between his fingers. He did not chase after the family. Some moments, he understood, were not meant to be interrupted. Instead, he sat there long after the restaurant emptied, memories washing over him with painful clarity. He saw himself as a child again, watching his mother smile bravely while accepting help from strangers, promising him silently that life would get better. He remembered vowing that if he ever escaped poverty, he would never forget what it felt like to be invisible. Somewhere along the way, he had forgotten anyway. The button became a turning point. Not because it reminded him of where he came from, but because it reminded him why he had survived. The next morning, for the first time in years, he delayed his meetings and walked the streets instead. He funded shelters without publicity, invested in programs that restored dignity rather than offering temporary relief, and made it a habit to see people fully, not as problems to be solved. Weeks later, he returned to the same neighborhood. Fate or quiet intention led him to the family again. They were still struggling, but now there was help, guidance, and opportunity placed gently in their path. He never told them about the button. Some truths, he believed, were meant to remain sacred. As his life began to change, so did his loneliness. It did not disappear overnight, but it softened. Purpose replaced isolation. He learned that being needed in meaningful ways filled spaces that money never could. The boardrooms and awards still existed, but they no longer defined him. The quiet moments did. The child's simple act had done what years of achievement could not. It had reminded him that kindness is not measured by its size, but by its sincerity. That even the smallest offering can carry a lifetime of meaning. That sometimes, what we give away returns to us when we need it most. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it reminds you of moments you have lived or kindness you have received, please take a second to engage with this video. Your likes, shares, and subscriptions help everyday heroes continue bringing stories that matter to people who need them. And before this story ends, we have one special request. Please comment below with a word, a memory, or a simple message about a moment when kindness changed your life, even in a small way. Your comment might be the encouragement someone else is searching for today. The CEO still carries the button with him. Not as a reminder of loss, but as proof that humanity has a way of finding us again, even when we think we are beyond saving. And somewhere in the city, a child grows up knowing that giving, even when you have little, can change the world in ways you may never fully understand.